What's up everyone, today I want to talk about one of the best fire sorcerer builds for Diablo 4 Season 8, and it is a Meteor sorcerer build. Now Meteor sorcerer was always a pretty fun, pretty good endgame build, but now with the Season 8 boss powers, this is not just a bit of fun. This is one of the best builds. It's got really good AoE damage, it's got really good single target boss damage, which lots of the other sorcerer builds fall off on, and it has really good defenses. So the way this build works is we use the Starfall Coronet, the unique helmet, and what this does is it reduces the mana cost of Meteor and instead puts it on a 2.5 second cooldown, and of course makes it stronger, bigger, and do more damage. Now combined with this we use the ultimate Inferno, which sucks everything in, makes everything vulnerable, and gives us a damage increase. And then it all comes together with the Season 8 boss power, Urivar's power, where every time we use our ultimate, we throw out 4 big projectiles that deal even more damage. And then we just get a bunch of cooldown reduction and bring all of this down. So we're using our Meteor every second, we're bringing our ultimate in every couple of seconds, and everything just melts. So yeah, let's get into it. And if you like this style of build, do consider subscribing to the channel for more, or coming and hanging out live. But let's get into the build, starting with the skill tree. Okay, so on the skill tree, we need to put a couple of points into the basic tree to unlock the next section. We don't use any of these, so just put 2 anywhere. I went with Firebolt. In the next section, we don't take any core skills either. You're going to put them into some of the passives. So you can go for Potent Warding, which gives us some good defenses. And then it's really good to go for Elemental Dominance. So it says here your core skills deal more damage when cast above 15 mana. Now we don't take a core skill, but the way Meteor works is it's counted as a core skill. You can see the core tag on it, even though it's under the Mastery section. As the core tag, so we get the benefit from that. And with the Starfall Coronet, we always have 100 mana pretty much, so you know this is always going to be active. In the next section, we take a lot of defenses. We take a lot here. We go for Flame Shield, Teleport, and we go for Ice Armor. Now the thing here is Flame Shield and Ice Armor are just our defenses. We alternate between those, and because we have really high cooldown reduction, we can pretty much have them up all the time. There's not much point in taking the bonuses here. But on Ice Armor, it's pretty good to take Shimmering so that you can reduce the cooldown of Ice Armor the longer it's active. So that helps keep those up all the time. On the Teleport, you can go down into Enhanced and then go down into Shimmering to get damage reduction after teleporting. It's really good if you teleport into a pack or you teleport like away from danger that you get the damage reduction at the right time. 3 points into Glass Cannon is just huge damage. Then I like 1 point into Elemental Attunement. Crit strikes have a chance to reset your defensive. It's just another way to bring these back off cooldown all the time. Into the next section, you want to go for Ice Blades. Now, if you've never played a Sorceress, there is a well-known at this point Ice Blades cooldown reduction mechanic. And what you do is you go 1 point Ice Blade, 1 point Enhanced Ice Blade, and then 1 point Roaring. Now, what this does is every time you summon an Ice Blade, it will go and attack an enemy, and it will reduce its own cooldown, and it will make the enemy vulnerable and then reduce its own cooldown. Now, if you then combine that with Roaring, it will also reduce the cooldown of all your other abilities. So you're getting like this constant cooldown reduction on everything. And the more of these you have out, we also do something else with this to make it even more powerful. But the more you have of these out, the more of your cooldowns are getting reduced. And then when you're in a fight, you'll see all of your cooldowns just ticking down super fast, like 10 on 8 on 6, just so fast, because all your Ice Blades are just all working together. So this is really important for this build. Then we take the passives, we go 3 points into Precision Magic for Lucky Hit. We go 1 point into Align, and 3 points into Protection for the barrier. Now the reason we want Lucky Hit, I'll explain later. And then we go for Mana Shield. Every time you spend 100 mana, you gain 30% damage reduction. Down into the next section, Meteor, our main casted ability. You want to 5 out of 5 that. We get loads more from gear. That can go up to like 20 plus easy. You want to take Enhanced, and then you want to go for Mage's Meteor. The Meteor falls 30% faster. Now you can take Immobilize if you feel like, you don't have enough damage to defeat the enemies in one go. And because of that, you're feeling very squishy. You can take that to give you a bit of time, but I prefer just pump your damage, go for that, and you can just move from pack to pack faster. I take both of these clusters here that give damage, 30% increased crit strike damage, and then 18% increased damage while healthy. And then 1 point in there just to trigger the Lucky Hit if we trigger it. Down here, we go for yet more passives. 3 points into Permafrost for increased damage while the Frost skill is on your action bar. And we've got Ice Armor, so we'll always have that. And then we give 12% increased damage to vulnerable enemies. Into here, Elemental Synergy, deal increased damage. And then Evocation, cooldown reduction. Cooldown reduction is the cornerstone of this build, so that's essential. 5 points into Inferno. This is, I'd say Meteor and Inferno are all of your damage. Everything comes from Meteor and Inferno, so you want these. Inferno is The reason we do this isn't just for the damage. You can see here the damage goes up if we put more points in. So 1 to 5, we get like 28k, so it's pretty good. But the main reason we do it is look at the cooldown. The cooldown on Inferno right now is 16 seconds because I've got some cooldown reduction already. If we 5 out of 5 it, we've just knocked like 3 seconds off of it. So that's why we want to 5 out of 5 it mainly. The faster this comes off cooldown, every time we use it, we trigger our boss power, which is huge. So we want to be triggering this every few seconds. Not only that, but we suck enemies in, which makes them all get hit by the meteor, and we make enemies vulnerable. Really, really strong. And then with Supreme, every time we use it, we get 50% increased damage. So yeah, absolutely huge. It's a really good combo with Meteor. You can take this extra cluster of damage here as well. If you hit a burn enemy, gives you mana regen. You have to put 1 point in there to get to this. Soulfire, 12% less mana and deals 6% increase damage, double it after standing still. So yeah, that's all the passives. And then for the key passive, I like Enlightenment. Casting a skill grants you a stack of Enlightenment. So it's a long way to lead you to damage and attack speed, which just means we can push out more and more and more meteors. Now, it might not seem smart to have attack speed when we can only cast a couple of meteors, but once you get this really going and you have a lot of cooldown reduction, you can cast, even with attack speed, you can keep spawning more and more meteors and you don't run out because you have them coming off cooldown as fast as you can press them. Okay, now let's move on to enchantments. So if we open it up, these are the two that I would suggest. One, Ice Blades. Ice Blade is how we bring in more of the cooldown reduction. Like I say, the more of these spawn, the more they tick down all of your cooldowns. It is so important in this build. I can't think of any reason why you wouldn't take this. Basically, if you have this in, every 31 seconds in cooldowns you spend, you spawn an Ice Blade on a random enemy. So, I mean, there's no reason not to take that, as we're using, like, if you look at our abilities, like 12 seconds cooldown, 12 seconds, 8, 13, 10, even a couple of seconds there. So every single ability we're doing is bringing this, is triggering this. So we're just summoning more and more and more Ice Blades without even having to cast it on our bar. Like, we can cast it additionally, but we're getting even more with this. So yeah, it ramps up as well. So the more we have out, the faster it comes back down. Amazing. Secondly, because we're already playing into like lucky hit a little bit, I would go with Meteor. This is lucky hit, 10% chance for a meteor to fall on enemies. It's more meteors. It's just more damage. There's a few things you could take, and you've got like Fireball. Fireball's not bad. It's a big AoE. Every time you defeat an enemy, it's pretty good. You've got, Teleport is not bad for, a bit more evasion, a bit more like getting around. But I honestly just think Meteor is the way to go, because we're already going to be playing into a little bit of lucky hit because it works so well in this build. You will get a lot of benefit from this. Okay, let's talk about gearing. So I'll use the guide for this. I've finished the guide now. It's ready to go. It'll be out at the same time as the video. It's got the skill tree, Paragon Board, boss powers, all that stuff on. But let's talk about the gear. So this only needs one unique. You only need one. This is a good one to have, but this is essential. So Starfall Coronet, mana cost is replaced with a cooldown of as low as possible. It can be 2.5 seconds, and we can get that much lower with our cooldown reduction on our gear. Casting Meteor drops additional meteors around the target. It's just really good. It's just really, really good. Enhancement drop one additional meteor instead. It gets bigger size, cooldown reduction, extra ranks to meteor. If you can get a good one of this, even better. If you can get one with like greater graphics on cooldown reduction, greater graphics on meteor size, you're winning. It's just so much better. But the main thing to try and get is the 2.5 seconds. Try and get one that hits the 2.5 seconds or as close to it as possible, because that's where, all of the synergy of all the damage comes from that. Then on the gear, you want to be looking for, I would say Aspect of Fortune is pretty good. Lucky hit chances increase when you have a barrier. We pretty much always have a barrier. Conceited Aspect, deal increased damage when we have a barrier. Again, always going to have a barrier. Orange Herald, again, playing on lucky hit yet again. Chance when you damage an enemy with a skill to reduce a cooldown of your ultimate by 2 seconds. Incredible. Like I say, cooldown, lucky hit, we're still going. Aspect of Assistance, your reinforcement cooldown is reduced after casting your ultimate skill. We're going to be using our ultimate skill every couple of seconds. We'll go for Shattered Stars on a 2-hander. Meteorites fall around your meteor, dealing increased damage. Your meteorites gain meteor damage and burn enemies. So any triggers for burning enemies will trigger extra damage. And because it's on a 2-hander, that damage is significantly higher. Then we go for the Aspect of Armageddon here. Hail of meteorites fall during your inferno. So when you see the inferno cast and loads of things coming down from the sky at the same time, that's the Armageddon Fire damage on impact. They also immobilize enemies. While Inferno is active, your meteorites deal up to 360% increased damage. Now, I've tried switching these around and the damage felt fairly similar. So if you have more luck switching them around, go for it. I've tested it a bit and I'm struggling to see the difference. I feel like Shattered Stars on the weapon should do more, but I haven't got a good roll on it right now. But I've got a good roll on that. So I'm not sure. Let me know if you feel any different. I think that on the weapon, that on the amulet works best. But let me know if you have different results. Aspect of 3 cursors, increase your crit strike damage of Meteor and Fireball, double against healthy targets. And then finally, Tal Rashar's Iridescent Loop is a really good unique to have on the ring. Non-physical damage, cooldown reduction, lucky hit. Casting a Pyromancy skill increases your damage, and then if you cast like a Pyromancy, Shock, Frost, you get all of that synergy together. And then we have, we have Shock, Frost, and all the Pyromancy. So we get all of that. So yeah, that's a really good unique ring to have. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I've also gone into, stats on here of what to look for if you want to like really min-max and look for all the stats as well. Basically, what you're looking for is anything with cooldown reduction, anything with, I don't know why these are bloody not loading the picture, but anything with cooldown reduction you want. So, the helmet, the amulet, things like that. Anywhere you can get cooldown reduction as a priority, you want to get that. You want to masterwork that. That's what you're looking for. That's where most of your damage is going to come from. Then you want to go for anything that gives you ranks in Meteor. You can get it on your helmet because it has that on it already. You can get ranks to core skills on your gloves, which counts for Meteor. You can get it on your boots. You can get quite a big roll on your boots, so you should try and get all those. Try and masterwork those. On the amulet, you can get Devouring Blaze, which is a really good passive to try and tick off. But yeah, they're the main things to go for. Everything else, it's the standard stuff really. Intelligence, try and get a decent amount of life because we're a sorcerer and we got dealt the bad hand. Try and get to your armor cap, try and get like nearly, get as high in the 3 digits of armor as you can because again, we're a sorcerer, we're squishy. And then on the tempers, the big things that you're looking for on the tempers is anywhere you can get a resource roll. So on your neck and on your rings, you want to get Inferno cooldown because again, the more Infernos we cast, the more damage we deal. And once one thing starts ramping, everything starts ramping. On utility, I really like Meteor size. Means that instead of capturing a small 3 to 4 mobs, we can capture nearly like the whole screen with all these meteors. Try and get intelligence. So when you get offense, instead of going for, so if you've not really done much masterworking, the lower the smaller the bucket of things that you're capturing, the less high the roll will roll. So something like fire damage, that's very broad. Your roll will be very small. Something like pyromancy damage is more niche, so you can get a higher percent. Something like pyromancy crit is even more niche, so you can get an even higher roll. So I always try and aim for things like that, pyromancy crit damage, things like that, because then instead of getting like 40, 50%, you're going to get like 150-ish. You're going to get a much higher roll, and all of our damage counts in that. All of our damage will fall under that tag. So yeah, if that makes sense. Barrier generation's good. That's pretty much it. Movement speed on the boots is standard. On the weapon, chance for meteors to cast twice. That's the gear and the tempering. Again, I've tried to go over it as well as possible, but it's easier just to look at this, have it on your screen when you're doing your tempering, and just try and tick these off. But yeah, that's all the gear. Okay, now let's talk boss powers. So on the boss powers, the number one thing we want to be getting is Urivar's main power. So you get that the first time you beat Urivar. If you've never done that, you need to be looking for these things here. These masks, Adjudicator's Mask, used to open Urivar's Horde. You need 12 of these. They come from the Tree of Whispers, World Bosses, or Mercenary Bartering. Find these, get 12, go beat him once, and then you unlock the power. Now, this power is incredible for this build. After you cast an ultimate, throw out 4 projectiles that deal 530,000 fire damage. Gain 15% cooldown reduction. Now, this is so good because the cooldown on this right now I have as like 13 seconds. In reality, when we're actually fighting, it's like 3 to 4 seconds. So we're going to be casting that a ton and triggering this loads. Now, for the backups, right now I've got Hatred's Embrace, Turok's Rage, and Outlaw's Sharpshooter. So I've tried a few here, and there's no E support that feels incredible. I've just gone for these attack speed, movement speed, and increased damage for enemies far away. all of your damage is coming from this, and these are like nice little additions, but any ideas on there? I am curious. Okay, now let's talk about the Paragon board. And you know, I've not finished the Paragon board. I'm not at 300. I'm not nothing like that. But I'll show you all of the boards, all of the glyphs, and the main way to lay this out that is working really well for me. So let's start down here. We go in, we go to the main glyph, and we put in destruction. Crit strikes increase crit damage, and crit strikes increase all damage the enemy takes. We do have a lot of crit potential in this build. This works quite well. You can take a bunch of things around it to power that up. Every 5 decks powers that up. You can see all these powered up. Grab both of these as well, resistance and non-physical damage. In the next section, I would go for the Searing Heat. Pyromancy skills have increased crit strike chance, and all of your skills deal increased direct damage equal to 10% of your crit strike damage, up to 60%. Massive. That's what I go for there. In the glyph, I've gone for Adept. Now, it says 67% increased mastery damage, which is pretty nice. Like 60% extra meteor damage is pretty good, but we have 30% increased area. And like I say, catching more mobs with that meteor just feels so much better. You clear so much faster. Not so good, not as game breaking on bosses, but amazing for AoE clearing. So I'd go for that. I'd go then into the right, and I would grab the Enchantment Master board. So this makes your enchantments 30% stronger. The reason that's so good is if we go on the enchantments real quick, if we go on the enchantments here, yeah, actually it brings these down. So the reason this says 31 seconds instead of, I don't know, 35, 40, whatever it was originally, is because of the Enchant Master board. Same on here. Everything gets better because of that Enchant Master board. So very, very, very good board. It's one of my favorites. Then we come over to here, and I would go for the Flame Feeder glyph. The Flame Feeder glyph. Every 5 decks, you deal increased damage to burning targets, and things are going to be burning because of what we just talked about earlier. So that's a good one to grab and fill out with all the decks you can in that node. Then coming over to the left side, I would go for this here, the Fundamental Release. Each time you apply Vulnerable, Burning, or critically strike an enemy, they take 10% increased damage, up to 40%. Huge. We do all of those things in this build. You can go up to here and get the Elementalist. Dealing fire, cold, or lightning to an enemy increases all damage you deal to them for 5%, 10 seconds, stacking once per element. We do all of those things again. Perfect. And then finally, you can come up to this board here, the Frigid Fate. You deal bonus damage to vulnerable enemies equal to 20% of your total amount of your 60%, right? So basically, anywhere you see crit, vuln, burning enemies, we have it all of the time. Like I say, the inferno gives us vulnerable enemies. It tags it all the time. So we're always going to have that up. Then here, I'm going to go for the exploit glyph to really hammer home that vuln cluster. And again, we can also capture these nodes here, power them up. So yeah, that's how I'm laying this out. On the build guide, you know, I've planned out everything, but it looks like this. This is what we're working towards. Yeah, I hope that helps. That's the entire build. I do not have the best gear. You know, I don't have, you know, any mythics. I've not got like much stuff tempered or rolled perfectly. It's very, very basic early gear. It's not even finished my final board. But this build is a plumper. This build is strong. It's fun. You can easily, with the right setup, once you're geared, you can blast into tier 4, climb the pit. I will say there are much, yeah. Lightning Spear. I will just say Lightning Spear is broken. Lightning Spear is absolutely busted. There are people doing some pretty wacky things with Lightning Spear right now and pushing way over pit 100. But yeah, don't expect to meet the same levels of damage as the busted Lightning Spear builds right now. They might get, you know, hotfixed, they might get nerfed, but I don't think this will ever reach that potential. But you know, I like Meteor, and this is a very, very fun and powerful build. I hope you liked the video. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you want to see more. Any questions, let me know down below. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you on the next one.